replace the moon with a giant marshmallow, one moment there is a desolate rock. The next, there is a fluffy sphere of gelatin and sugar. The lunar tides instantly vanish. The night sky looks delicious. Now, gravity begins to notice the change in mass. Marshmallows are significantly less dense than basalt. The moon's mass drops by 98%. Earth's orbit remains stable, but the moon's orbit does not. The center of gravity shifts. The fluffy satellite drifts further away. Oceans stop pulsing. Coastal ecosystems collapse within hours. Fish are confused. Shipping lanes become unpredictable. The world watches as a giant white puffball replaces the familiar craters. It looks soft. It is actually a planetary death sentence. Self-gravity is a powerful force. In a rock moon, it keeps the sphere solid. In a marshmallow moon, the internal pressure is immense. The core of the marshmallow is crushed by the weight of the outer layers. Sugar molecules compress into a dense, sticky syrup. This isn't a fluffy treat anymore. It is a planetary-sized glob of supercompressed glucose. The sphere begins to warp. It loses its perfect roundness. Thermal energy builds up from the compression. The center reaches temperatures capable of melting lead. The moon is now a giant, burning candy core wrapped in a thin layer of toasted fluff. Space is a very hostile oven. Things are about to get sticky. Astronauts on the surface would have a brief, wonderful experience. The ground is springy, every step is a bounce. The smell of vanilla fills the vacuum, then the heat from the core hits. They are instantly caramelized into human lollipops, very disappointing. Solar radiation hits the marshmallow surface. Without an atmosphere, the sun's ultraviolet rays act like a blowtorch. The outer layer doesn't just melt, it chars. A massive shell of blackened, carbonized sugar forms around the moon. This creates a planetary-scale burnt marshmallow. Underneath this crust, the interior is still boiling. Pressure builds, the sugar syrup expands, the blackened crust begins to crack. Massive fissures open across the lunar surface. Gouts of molten glucose spray into the vacuum of space. These streams of syrup freeze instantly into jagged sugar needles. Millions of crystalline spikes, miles long, erupt from the surface. The moon now looks like a terrifying, burnt sugar urchin. It is no longer appetizing. The sheer instability of the structure means the sphere is fighting its own gravity. The internal pressure is seeking an exit. The crust is about to fail completely. The moon drifts closer to Earth during its elliptical orbit. It enters the Roche limit. This is the distance where a satellite's own gravity can no longer hold it together against the tidal forces of the larger planet. For a rock moon, this happens close in. For a marshmallow moon, the limit is much further. The Earth's gravity begins to pull harder on the near side of the sugar sphere than the far side. The burnt crust shatters. The molten core is ripped open. The marshmallow moon doesn't just break, it shreds. Trillions of tons of sticky molten sugar are stretched into a long, shimmering ribbon. This sugar bridge spans the gap between worlds. It is a cosmic taffy pull of apocalyptic proportions. The ribbon begins to spiral. Centrifugal force flings chunks of caramelized marshmallow in every direction. The night sky is no longer dark. It is filled with glowing, burning embers of sugar. The orbit has decayed. The debris cloud is now a ring of candy. The Earth is the target. The sugar ring begins to rain down. These are not snowflakes. They are molten, white-hot blobs of glucose traveling at 20 kilometers per second. Each impact is like a small nuclear bomb made of syrup. The atmosphere catches the debris. Friction turns the falling sugar into incandescent plasma. The sky turns a vivid neon orange. Forests ignite instantly. Cities are buried under layers of boiling caramel. The heat is staggering. The moisture in the air boils away. Rain turns into a sticky, acidic mist. This is not a weather event. This is a global confectionery glaze. The oceans begin to simmer. The surface of the Atlantic becomes a giant vat of syrup. The salt reacts with the sugar, creating a chemical sludge that chokes every coastline. Marine life is preserved in a sugary tomb. The oxygen in the air is displaced by carbon monoxide from the burning sugar. Breathing becomes impossible. The world is a scorched, sticky wasteland. The clouds are made of aerosolized corn syrup. Every square inch of the planet is covered in a layer of carbonized marshmallow. The Earth has become a giant burnt dessert. It is an ecological disaster. The remaining fragments of the moon finally collide with the crust. The impact energy is enough to melt the tectonic plates. The Earth is now a glowing ball of magma and sugar. The atmosphere is a thick, opaque haze of burnt vanilla. From a distance, the planet looks like a toasted marshmallow floating in the void. The scientific community would be fascinated. Unfortunately, the scientific community was incinerated 3 weeks ago during the Great Caramelization. Everything is gone. Only the sweetness remains. The solar system now contains one less moon and one very sticky planet. Space debris analysts note that the orbit of Earth is slightly altered. The galactic neighborhood is noticeably more fragrant. It is the most delicious apocalypse in the history of the known universe. The insurance claim for the planet is denied due to an act of confectionery. Subscribe to the What If Club to see more ways to end the world.